Most rejection stories start the same way. Girl likes boy. Girl tells boy. Boy says no. Girl cries. Girl heals. Girl moves on. That's the formula. That's what we expect. But what if the rejection wasn't the painful part? What if, when she finally heard the word no, the only thing she felt was relief? This is the story of a girl who thought she had a crush. And slowly, through friendship, through pain, through one very embarrassing hallway moment, discovered something that most people spend their whole lives trying to figure out. The difference between loving someone romantically and loving someone in a way that actually lasts. Let's call her Maya. A high school student, bisexual, self-aware, and by her own admission, a little sappy. The kind of person who feels things deeply and actually takes the time to understand why. She met him, let's call him Eli, in October at a school event. By January, she had developed a crush. Nothing earth-shattering at first. A little admiration. A little of that specific giddiness you get with an early crush, the kind where you overthink every text and notice when they walk into a room. She wanted to tell him how she felt multiple times. But the timing was never right. And her close friend at the time, who also had feelings for Eli, asked her not to. So Maya held it in. She waited. And here's something worth pausing on. Maya didn't stop being friends with that girl over Eli. She said it plainly herself. She values friendship and platonic connection more than romance. She doesn't believe romantic love is automatically deeper or more important than platonic love. They're just different ways of caring about someone. For someone in high school, that's a remarkably mature thing to understand about yourself. And it set the stage for everything that was about to happen. Then came the hard month. Maya went through a stretch of time where her friendships, the ones she'd trusted completely, started cracking. People she had confided in shared private, intimate details of her life without her permission. The kind of betrayal that doesn't just hurt, it rewires you. It makes you question everyone. It makes you pull inward. She described herself during that period as obnoxious, withdrawn, hard to reach. Not because she was mean, but because she was so deep inside her own head that she couldn't fully show up for anyone. And she didn't fully trust Eli either. Not because he had done anything wrong, but because losing her closest friends had taken something from her sense of self-worth. She couldn't believe that someone as genuinely good as Eli would actually want to be her friend. It felt too unlikely. Too good. But Eli didn't leave. He didn't push her to open up before she was ready. He didn't make it awkward or dramatic. He was, in her own words, supportive, gentle, but firm. He told her that even if she wanted to isolate herself, even if she wanted to pull away from everyone including him, he wouldn't let her. He would keep showing up. Keep talking to her. Keep bothering her until she came back to herself. For someone who had just watched her closest friendships fall apart, those words meant everything. Maya wrote him a letter. A real one. Handwritten. About how much his support had carried her through that month. She worked up the courage to give it to him in person. And right as she handed it over, Eli made a joking comment. Their kind of humor. The kind they'd exchanged 100 times before. Something like, "Ugh, it's you again." And Maya burst into tears and ran. She was already so emotionally raw. So tender from everything she'd been through. And in that moment, even a harmless joke from someone she trusted hit her like a wave she wasn't ready for. Eli didn't make it a big deal. He just checked on her later, quietly without embarrassing her further, and kept the letter. No production. No pity. Just steadiness. Maya still cringes thinking about it. But she also knows, that moment said everything about the kind of person Eli is. Something changed after that. Not dramatically. Not all at once. But slowly, the way Maya saw Eli began to shift. The crush, the giddiness, the romantic started to feel smaller. And something else grew in its place. Something quieter and more solid. Respect. Real, deep, genuine respect for who he was as a human being. She started seeing him less as a guy she liked and more as someone she truly loved, in the fullest, most non-romantic sense of that word. Someone whose character she admired. Someone whose presence in her life felt like an actual gift. And she sat with a question that most people never think to ask themselves. Is what I'm feeling actually romantic love, or is it something else entirely? For Maya, the answer became clear. Her platonic feelings, the friendship, the admiration, the deep care, were bigger than the romantic ones. They always had been. The crush had just been sitting on top of everything, getting all the attention. She still had some romantic feelings. She wasn't pretending otherwise. But they weren't the loudest thing anymore. The loudest thing was, I am so grateful this person exists in my life. Last week, Maya told him. She said how she felt. Honest and clear. No games, no hints, just the truth. Eli thanked her. And later, he texted her, telling her he still really wanted to be friends. That he still wanted to talk. That nothing had changed between them. And Maya cried. Now, if you've ever been rejected, your brain probably just filled in the rest of that sentence. She cried because it hurt. She cried because she'd hoped for more. She cried because rejection always stings. Except that's not what happened. She cried because she was relieved. Not sad. Not heartbroken. Genuinely, deeply relieved that he wanted to keep her. That the friendship wasn't going anywhere. That she hadn't accidentally broken something she couldn't afford to lose. She said something in her own words that is worth reading slowly. I don't really wish that he liked me back. If he ran to me now and said he felt the same way, I would accept in a heartbeat. But it's not something I feel is necessary for me to be satisfied anymore. And I would never wish for him or his feelings to change, because that wouldn't be him. The person I respect so deeply. Read that again. She's not settling. She's not pretending. She genuinely arrived at a place where his happiness and his authentic self mattered more to her than getting what she wanted. That's not a consolation prize. That's growth that most adults never reach. Here's what nobody talks about when it comes to crushes and rejection and young love. We are taught that romantic feelings are the destination. That if you like someone, you tell them, and either it works out or you're heartbroken. Those are the only two endings we're given. Maya found a third one. She discovered that what she was actually feeling, underneath the crush, underneath the nervousness and the admiration, was a profound, genuine love for another human being. The platonic kind. The kind that shows up during the bad months. The kind that writes handwritten letters. The kind that cries in a hallway not from heartbreak but from the terror of almost losing something real. She also discovered something about herself, that she is someone who values connection on its own terms. Who doesn't need romance to validate a relationship? Who can hold both romantic and platonic feelings at once, look at them honestly, and understand which one is actually driving her? That kind of self-knowledge is rare. At any age. But especially at hers. Eli didn't give her what she thought she wanted. He gave her something better. His honesty, his continued friendship, and without knowing it, the mirror she needed to understand herself more clearly. And that, genuinely, is worth more than a yes. Maya said she's a sappy person. That she doesn't have many people to talk to about crushes and romance. So she wrote it all down, for the internet, for strangers, for anyone who might need to read it. And if you're someone who has ever felt like your feelings were too complicated to explain, too mixed up between friendship and romance and admiration and grief, you're not broken. You're just paying attention. Most people spend years trying to understand the difference between loving someone and being in love with someone. Maya figured it out at 16 through one hard month and one very good friend. That's not a sad story. That's one of the most quietly beautiful ones I've ever come across. The Tired Souls Society. Where the complicated feelings finally have somewhere to go.